Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. So you might wonder why I'm talking about the new batteries so much lately, or some of you at least, and I've become the battery economist. Although it's good to see a lot of you also understand and care as much as me, but others are also wondering, who cares what batteries Tesla are using with their new vehicles? As long as they're getting the orders, their demand is maxed out for the year, whether they're 2170 batteries or 4680 batteries. Well, demand is only half the battle. You need supply for the other half. Oh, and a profit preferably too. Now, perhaps I am too deep in my own little Tesla world. Perhaps I expect everyone else to automatically understand the same as me. So perhaps it was remiss of me to assume automatically that everyone else would be as excited about these batteries as me. So why won't I stop talking about the batteries? Why? Because as far as I can tell, this is the biggest time in Tesla since perhaps the Model 3 launch, or possibly getting Model 3 to volume production. That was possibly the last milestone of this sort of magnitude. Of course, back then I could have been commenting on about Tesla's level of production and talking about what a big deal it is to hit volume production, and people might not have understood back then either. And I don't think everyone even realizes today still just what an achievement volume production makes, especially for economies of scale. Elon continually likes to express just what an achievement volume production is and how difficult it is to reach, let alone doing it at a profit. And a lot of people still don't quite understand this. A lot of people think the Chinese are going to be able to achieve this and take over America with their cheap Chinese EVs, except that the price that Tesla sells their vehicles are for less than the Chinese can even make them for after they've shipped them to the US. All Chinese vehicles, fine, except the Wuling Death Trap, still make net losses on every sale, and all of them have a dwindling balance sheet every quarter. Their burn rates don't match their reserves. BYD, however, does have a profitable hybrid business to support it and is more vertically integrated too, but they can still only reach halfway to volume production yet. But the Chinese can make so many more vehicles because they all have those LFP batteries. Now, I've been advocating and explaining all last year about how LFP is the savior. It is the necessary battery that is required for a feasible transition to renewable energy. It's low cost, abundant, safe and durable. But I think people seem to believe that we can just make as many LFP batteries as we like. Well, we do hear that CATL is really growing big. In fact, 167% year over year. Isn't that huge? Is it? Well, percentages don't tell us very much. They tell us whatever the narrator wants us to think, and 69% of people know this. But it all depends where they started, of course. And if you start from 1 gigawatt hours of production in your first year, and you reach 10 gigawatt hours in your second year, then that's almost 1,000% growth. But you still only produce 10 gigawatt hours. Oh, but CATL are actually the largest battery manufacturer in the world, so it probably is a big deal. Well, CATL reached a capacity of about 96 gigawatt hours last year. That is a lot of batteries, but do you see that Tesla will have a battery capacity of closer to 500 gigawatt hours, perhaps sometime in 2024. LFP is still using the old battery manufacturing processes. That means you need a really big factory and get relatively small output. These factories take a long time to build. They simply can't scale or ramp up close to Tesla. It will not take long until 4680 becomes the most produced battery in the world. Although it is likely these factories will be built faster in China. And yes, iron is more abundant, but it doesn't mean you can make LFP faster, just cheaper. The reason LFP has overtaken nickel is because Tesla haven't been working on any new nickel factories, except the 4680, which has taken a long time. In the meantime, Tesla is saying they need as much LFP as CATL can make. Last quarter, Tesla delivered just over 300,000 vehicles. At an estimate, that is approximately somewhere over 20 gigawatt hours of batteries. If CATL are at a rate of 25 gigawatt hours for Q4, with a 33% market share, then at a rough guess, that means Tesla control about 26% of the global battery supply. Oh, would that mean that Tesla have a 26% market share of EVs then? Well, no, as Tesla vehicles need fewer batteries than other vehicles to get the same or more range. If Tesla use about 25% fewer batteries, then that would take their market share to around 33%. Except we have all these cheap Chinese EVs with just 10 kilowatt hour batteries too, which skews it again. But if you remove all those and just keep all the electric vehicles that could legally be sold in developed countries, Tesla probably isn't far off a 40% market share, judging by their battery supply. Except these other EV companies, well, they're struggling more with manufacturing lines right now and trying to ramp up to volume production. They're not so battery constrained, as they make so few vehicles. They probably aren't chip constrained either. They're manufacturing constrained. So what it means is Tesla's market share is capped, because there are not enough batteries in the world, and if Tesla had more, then they could make more cars and sell more cars and gain more market share. Where for the other EV companies, if they did have more batteries, well, they can't make any more cars because they're struggling to ramp up their production lines because they didn't listen to Elon Musk telling everyone how very difficult volume production is. Let's take everyone's favorite company they like to always tell me about, a company I believe to be overrated on batteries and overrated on production, BYD. People have been telling me all year BYD will start making a lot of EVs and they'll be selling them everywhere. I said, okay, sure, maybe, but they haven't shown any signs of it yet. They can't ramp up to volume production and they're losing money on BEVs. But what about their compact, the BYD Dolphin? They beat Tesla to the market and it's probably going to cost under $25,000 too. Tesla can't compete at those price points. Sure, and neither can BYD. People were expecting this BYD Dolphin to be everywhere, but guess what? They also got stuck halfway to volume production because it's really hard. The same for the BYD Han. These two vehicles' production have been fairly consistent over the last few months. I haven't driven a BYD, but they look like they're doing a better job than Legacy, but it's all moot as none of them can make them in volume production. Anyone can make nice cars at this level, but a company's job isn't to make nice cars, it's to make nice profits. BYD are probably doing the best. They're almost at volume production with their hybrid vehicles, but perhaps fully electric is just that much more difficult. But I keep watching. And I did say there is no way the Chinese are going to flood America with their cheap EVs. Still not going to happen. All they can do, and the legacy autos, is start new lines for new models and make it look like they're doing more than Tesla by offering more variety of EVs. All EV manufacturers are starting to raise their prices now too. I told you this was inevitable. Yes, partly because of inflation, but if you look at their financials, they had no other choice either, or they would crash and burn, just like Rivian is also discovering. These Chinese companies are almost all using LFP2, which just because we have seen percentages increase so high, it doesn't mean it will continue to. They are not on such an exponential path. It is far more linear growth, so we won't see the jumps that Tesla are doing with their batteries. It just looks really good at the start because the quantity is relatively low. All the Chinese hyperbole of how successful their EVs will be is just backed by meaningless statistics. But just look at how many more batteries Tesla will have than all the Chinese put together. But the Chinese are okay with a 10 kilowatt-hour battery for their vehicles. If that works for them, it's better than if they were in an internal combustion, I suppose, but it's not going to affect Tesla's profits. Tesla is about to transition from a car company to a battery company. Well, actually, so's what you know. Tesla's a robotics AI company, not cars. Well, Tesla is a robotics AI company when Tesla start making robotics and AI profit. Right now, all, and I do mean all profit, comes from selling cars. Tesla is still very much a car company until the financials tell us otherwise. But now the financials are also going to show us that Tesla is becoming a battery company. They've spent the most research and development in making the most practical, ideal car battery. We estimate that this will end up saving around as much as $8,000 per vehicle, at least for a long-range Model Y. Last quarter, there was an EBIT of around $13,000 per vehicle. If this new vehicle is saving $8,000 just for the battery, then that is a 60% increase in EBIT, which will pretty much be felt all the way down to net profit. Of course, this only applies for the new vehicles from the new factories, but within time, these vehicles will quickly start to dwarf all other sales, implying that these new batteries alone may end up increasing net profit margins around 50% or so. Of course, all the additional sales of the vehicles from Berlin and Texas too. But like we're talking about CATL's improvement in batteries, well, it's pale in comparison to what 4680s can ramp up to. So I just wanted to point out why, right now, nothing is as important to look into as these batteries. It's not because I'm desperate for content, it's because it's so exciting. I can't stop talking about it. And that's what this channel was for, an outlet for me to talk about Tesla, so my wife doesn't have to hear about it anymore. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.